Hello. I hope it works this time. Just so excited to have another episode to our YGP series. And Dr. Amuthan is going to be joining us, who's also known as Dr. Thuva in the West Midlands. He's a famous GP in the West Midlands, and he does quite a lot of things apart from his general practice, and also does specialist things like specialist interest in dermatology and aesthetics. So very excited that he's going to be joining us today to talk about his experience, how he manages his week with all that going on. So he should be joining us. Hello. Can you see me, Thuva? Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me today.
No, you're welcome. How
Yeah,
are
I
you?
know my husband was on call today, so I couldn't do it at 8 o'clock. And
That's
because
okay.
I've got three children, and it's a nightmare getting them to go to bed, on time. So I couldn't guarantee that
Understandable.
I'd be able to do it at 8 o'clock.
No, that's
Um,
okay.
but how are you?
I'm okay, thanks. I'm okay. Just been out, just with friends.
Is it? Oh, that sounds lovely. So were not working today at all, having a bit of time off?
No, I wish that was the case. No, I had my private clinic today, so I had a couple of patients this morning, so they're all sorted.
Yeah, I'm just so inspired by you, Thu. But honestly, I see a lot of your messages on the West Midlands WhatsApp group, and you do a lot of teaching, organizing teaching. You're part of the RCGP. Is it the faculty? Are you part of them as well?
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
do lots of work, and you do your aesthetics. You're doing dermatology clinics. You do your normal GP as well. Like that's crazy. Like, and we got to talk about this. And hopefully you'll
Yeah, why not? Let's talk about it.
yeah. So how do you want do you want to introduce yourself to everybody who's coming on live today?
Yeah, sure. So I am a GP based in the Midlands area. My main roles are, of course, within general practice. As part of general practice, I sit on the RCGP Midlands Faculty Board, representing the first five GPs across the Midlands area. As well as that, I have a local role in Black Country as the first five network facilitator for that area. Overall, across the West Midlands, I'm the deputy chair for the BMA for doctors across all practice and grades. And then, of course, my passion really is dermatology and aesthetic, in particular, cosmetic dermatology, where I work for one dermatology in the community for modality partnership, as well as my own private cosmetic dermatology practice, from aesthetics to everything else.
That's amazing. That's a long list of things to fit into your week. Uh,
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, how did you get there? Like, where did you go to medical school first off?
Um, yeah. So I grew up in Croydon.
Okay.
Didn't go far. I went to East London for medical school.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah. And London's quite a bit. I mean, there's loads of different medical schools in and around London, isn't it? How did you
That's it.
find?
Yeah.
What was medical school like in London?
Oh, it was awesome. It was. I think Barts is one of the only campus-based medical schools in London.
Yeah.
Is good. It was probably one of the best part of my life, to be honest. It was a
Yeah.
really awesome 6 years that I could
Yeah.
live forever in. But hey, we've got to grow up at some point.
I know. I miss medical school as well. I went to Brighton, which is further south. It was a little bit like,
Oh, good.
so London wasn't that far off in terms of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
travel. But yeah, I really do miss medical school a lot. And then where did you do your foundation training?
So that's what brought me up here. I did foundation training up here in Dudley.
Oh,
So
okay.
imagine when the boy comes up to Dudley, that's quite a shock to the system.
Yeah,
But you get grips and you figure things out, and it turns out I loved it and I stuck around for GP training.
fantastic. I mean, are you from London originally then? You grew up in London?
Yeah, I grew up in Croydon, South London.
Oh wow. So wow. Oh yeah, you just said that you went to medical school there as well, and then suddenly you came up here. What do you like? What did you like about Dudley and Croydon, like the West Midlands? What do you like about it? What made you stick
I think
around?
it's the best of both worlds, isn't it? It's so quirky. So there's always something new happening.
Yeah.
The canals, I guess, are a good thing. Broad Street had everything that you needed when you were a youngster. You once a youngster, and it's a vibrant young professional city in some ways. I think
Yeah,
part of it, but also within 20-minute ride, there's the countryside. So I think for me, it does both. So I was like,
yeah,
and your money goes a long way for a Londoner. When I turned out and ordered my first round of drinks at the Monster Mass event, it was a
yeah.
shock to me how much the bar top was. Like, are you sure this is right?
You're
So
like
that
checking.
was interesting. So it was good. And one of the other reasons I stuck around is that in London I would never got on the property ladder.
Yeah, it's true. The cost of the properties are a lot better up here, isn't it? And in terms of like foundation training, what did you do then in foundation years?
Oh yeah, it's a good variety. So what
Mm.
did I have? I started off in the acute medicine, straight in the
Yeah,
deep end.
yeah.
Then orthopedics, colorectal surgery. Then I had psychiatry, occupational health, and TNO again.
Wow. Okay. And then in that time, obviously you had to apply for GP. And what did you want to do GP in the beginning? Like or was it something that you developed an interest for later on? I'm just trying to gauge where you,
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
up until fourth year in medical school, I wanted to be a TNO surgeon,
yeah,
but then I was like, maybe not for me. So GP was a great opportunity for me to, one, see if I could still look after the patient and make the sacrifices that I made in terms of financial sacrifices to get what I wanted in terms of satisfaction. So it
mm,
was my last ditch attempt at seeing if that was possible.
yeah,
So that was why one of the reasons why I chose GP, and of course, all the flexibility that comes around with that role, and the responsibility comes with the role in terms of the leadership positions and other things that it tracks with the flexibility and the full-on understanding of it, how, or the need to understand everything, how everything works for you to be able to help your patients.
yeah. But looking at your foundation trainings, you didn't have GP. So when was your
No,
first experience of general practice then? Like as
it
a
was
doctor?
final year medical school, and then after that was ST2. Yeah,
Wow. And when you did go into general practice as an ST2, did you think, yeah, I've made the right decision?
I did, yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
was it was very deep end and lots to learn, but I did also think it was the right thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the dermatology interest, when did that start creeping in for you?
So ST1, I did aesthetics. I did the Botox and fillers course and started doing my own private practice at that point, and then gradually grew.
ST1.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how did that start though? That like what did you think about it before in F2 or
No, I just heard about it from friends that were doing it in London, and so I decided to go along with the course. And I've always been business minded, so put
yeah.
my mind to it, and set it up and dared to do it, basically.
Yeah, I think you've got to be so brave, isn't it? And I think I was having a chat with one of the LMC chairs here in Stoke, and we were talking about how the reason why we can't negotiate very well as clinicians in terms of GP contract, for example, is because we're not that business minded. We're so taught to be clinically minded, but then I think it's so important to have a little bit of that business, but it doesn't get taught. So
No, you're right. You're right.
where did you learn your business, or was it just like
I think
trial and error?
no, no. I think so. I think for me, it comes from my upbringing and my circumstances in life. But for many, unfortunately, that doesn't that opportunity isn't there. So then I think you just have to figure things out and be intuitive and out there seeking those opportunities. And need is a magical driver.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you manage like doing the aesthetics and your GP training then? Was it something that because you were obviously working probably full time, when did you fit in your all that kind of work?
So the lucky thing with aesthetics is just ad hoc, isn't it? You just fit it
Mm,
around the time that you have, and you know initially you won't have many patients. You'll have one or two patients a month, one or two
mm,
patients every other month or so.
mm.
So it's not a big ask. And you fit that around. It really does depend on how all in you want to go. If you want to go all in,
Yeah,
then you definitely need to free up time to uh, recoup that investment that you're putting in.
mm, absolutely. And then so you started doing the aesthetics training and you did it with Derma Medical, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Do
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know Zach? He was in my
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
at medical school. I
Oh
went
wow,
down.
okay.
Yeah, so I knew him. He was very. I mean, he made the most insane medical notes. Like you should, that guy is very, very bright, very good. Yeah, so yeah, I look at his posts sometimes and think, wow, he's done really, really good. But yeah, so that Derma Medical, so you're now a trainer for them. So you train
That's
other.
right.
That's fantastic. I think you should be so proud of yourself. Like not many people would just have that on the side. I think it requires a lot of commitment. So yeah, very, very good. And what about the dermatology interest then? Was that always there? And then when did you start doing things with that?
So, like I said, for with business, so the biggest hurdle for most people when it comes to business is the want to do the thing or
Yeah.
want to learn about the thing. Most people are just purely not interested. You
Mm,
can't give someone something they're not interested. That's the biggest hurdle. And dermatology was the same thing. My theory, and I think a lot of people agree with me, is that you have to be out there enough for you to bump into enough opportunities for you to find the right opportunity. And
mm,
that's what happened with dermatology. I was out there when I was a trainee. When you're a trainee, you got nothing to do. You got so much time on your hands. You got study leave, professional leave. You got so much leave coming, everywhere possible. That I was doing so many things, and one of those things was all the job fairs that were going on. And I started planning for what I was going to do a year beforehand. And
yeah.
I think that's not a terrible thing to do. If you can, do it, because what else are you doing with your time? And at least have an idea. So I just started shopping around at the job fairs, and I just happened to bump into the modality community team at one of the job fairs. They were like,
Yeah.
"We've got the fellowship going in dermatology. Do you want to come along?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I went in along, sat in one of their clinics. I thought, I don't mind this. And then
Yeah.
applied for the fellowship. And lucky enough, I was one of the few people shortlisted and got the job a year
Wow.
later.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as straightforward as that, because the funding they changed to decide. HE decided to change the funding a month or
Yeah.
two before it was about to start, so that was a bit limbo there.
Yeah.
So ups and downs. It wasn't straightforward by any means, but
Yeah.
you just forge what you got to forge to make the way.
Absolutely. And you know what? The one thing you mentioned that was really interesting is planning a year ahead. I know that some people like feel that they can't do that because they've got other things going on. But actually, you're right. Having a year ahead plan. So what can you do in this year to try and help for next year, is quite good because it can help you plan what you're going to do. Like I'm doing a pediatric diploma, which I'm planning on finishing in January, and then hopefully I can do something else from there. But I've got something planned always, and I think that is so important. But some people think that it's difficult because of their life circumstances. They've got children, childcare. There's other hurdles. But you're right. That if you're going to do something, you're going to do it no matter what. I think you just have to go for it.
Yeah. One thing I would say is with everything you do, not
Yeah,
always, a lot of the things I did were voluntary stuff, BMA,
yeah,
RCGP, those were voluntary stuff. There was no end goal to it. I just
mm,
did it because I liked it. I liked
yeah,
seeing people, talking to people. But some of the things where it costs you a lot and it costs you a lot of time,
yeah,
have a plan. Have a plan. What difference will this make to my life? Don't give something a year of your life if it's not going to make any difference to you. It
mm,
either has to make a financial difference to you, or it's going to make you happy at your job,
yeah,
or it's going to do something for you. Don't do it unless it brings any addition to you. Unless you've got time and you just want to tick it off for the box, then go
yeah,
for it. Game. If it makes you happy, then do it.
yeah,
But it's got to do something for you.
yeah. And that's
Because I see
really
a lot of people
selfless.
just doing it because they want to do it, or because they've been told to do it, and that just doesn't work out well.
You have to be happy in what you do, and you have to feel that it is progressing in you're doing professional development through it as well. And what about job wise? I mean, are you a salaried at the moment? Are you a partner? Where are you? Locum?
I'm salaried at the moment,
Yeah.
and I'm happy with that for a couple of reasons.
Mm.
And because I've got so many jobs that
Yeah.
it would be hard to manage a partnership along those lines as well.
Yeah.
And where I'm headed, the way I've structured my roles works well for me.
Yeah. So tell me about the way that you structured it. So your week, what is your week like? Like a typical week where you would have all those things incorporated into it.
The, the answer to that question is there is no typical week.
Okay.
No week is the same. No day is the same. It depends week on week.
Yeah.
Mondays tend to be where I squeeze all my meetings in. Tuesday I do dermatology in the morning. Evening I do the private dermatology and aesthetic stuff. Wednesdays is my own private clinic where I do all sorts of private stuff or sometimes meetings. Thursdays, I'm either at GP or do sit on Dudley board for board meetings for Dudley Hospital. Fridays tend to be GP days. Yeah, in a nutshell.
So
And then
the
weekend.
Dudley, going to Dudley on Thursdays, what's that about, the hospital board? What's that
So I'm
about?
one of the non-exec directors of the hospital trust. So I'm one of the board of directors,
Wow, okay.
but non-executive. So I'm not there running the shop. I'm there to hold the executive to account in some ways.
Yeah,
So it's called a non-executive director. So that the function is being a member of the board of directors. So I have to attend all the board meetings there, and
yeah,
also sit on finance performance committee, quality and safety committee, charitable funds committee, and help out here and there for any other committees that need a presence.
yeah. And if anyone wants to do like the dermatology diploma, what advice would you give them with regards to how much time and effort they should put into it?
So this is where I think I disagree with a lot of people.
Yeah,
One is, again, it's a good diploma to have as a GP because 20% of your people that you see are is going to be skin consultations or
yeah,
something remotely related to dermatology. Number two is, again, it fitted in with my direction I was heading in, and it slotted well. That's why I did it. And it is one of the milestones in some ways to be a gypsy. You do sort of at some point have to do that. So that's helpful.
yeah,
Getting it done earlier can be helpful. You can see if HE will fund it, or you can get funding from your local training hub to pay for it rather than your own pocket. I think I would always seek to that because it's expensive. It is not
yeah,
cheap, and don't spend money that you don't need to spend because it's going towards a good cause anyway. Number three is I find I am a practical learner, not a theoretical learner. Okay.
yeah,
So I learned more from being on the job to seeing
yeah,
patients than I ever did from any diploma.
yeah,
So I would advocate for finding an opportunity where you can learn, whether that's working in a hospital dermatology department as a SHO, locum, or fellow, or finding a community dermatology team that will have you. These opportunities are rare and sought after, so you need to demonstrate your commitment. If it's just
yeah,
something you want to try out, it's going to be hard to get.
yeah.
Number three, you can do the Cardiff diploma for £20,000 if you
20,000.
feel that you'll get, if you feel that you get the value out of it. I didn't. I just did it as a tick box exercise because that's what it was for me. Because I'm not a theoretical learner, so I don't learn from
Yeah,
sitting here doing online modules. So I just did it. I think it was the Ryder Institute, which is part of University of Plymouth.
okay.
Diploma I did. It was £6,000 and it was pretty straightforward. It was just a couple of MCQs and a final exam. And I did not need to come home every week, every day and spend hours on the computer staring at a screen trying to do
Yeah,
group work. That's not about my life, sorry.
yeah,
I did that at medical school. I hadn't got time to do that as a BBP. That's
yeah,
what all the other ones are. South Wales, Cardiff, you have to come home from a busy day at GP and sit on the computer and do some more group work. I
yeah,
just
like
don't have the time
online.
for that. So I did
Yeah,
what was set for me, which is the Ryder one. It was cheaper.
yeah.
Does the day job. It still gives you the theoretical knowledge you need for it.
And it shows that there's not just one. Everyone talks about the Cardiff diploma, but there's loads of different like dermatology courses you can do, and that's important to know as well. Because every time you put it into the search engine, it comes up as the Cardiff one comes out, near at the top, so you automatically see that as the better option. And with regards to aesthetics, I mean, Derma Medical, how long are you still with that? Are you still with them, as in like you work under the umbrella, or you're independent but train for them? Is that how does it work? If that made any
So
sense?
this is pure enterprise. There
Yeah.
is no set rules. You do what you
Okay.
want to do. You do how you want to do it.
Yeah.
So Derma Medical is just it's a training company. So I train
Yeah.
for them on a ad hoc basis, just like a locum GP does.
Yeah.
So one weekend a month, I might train for them in Birmingham. One weekend a month, I might train for them in London. One weekend, I might train for them in London, Manchester. My clinics are again ad hoc basis. You have a clinic when the patients book in to see you.
Yeah.
It's not like the NHS. There isn't people knocking on your door. You have to go out there and fight for this business.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand. People think, let me do all the courses, splash £10,000 on courses, and people are line out my door. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So you need to set yourself a pace. You need to understand the business. It's 99% business, 1% clinical skill.
Yeah.
If you're not in it, if you're not a business person, if you're not happy with running a business, it's not for you. It's a waste of money.
Yeah.
Be sure that you're ready to run a business. Probably 80% of the business is marketing and selling yourself and getting the clients through the door. And then another 10-20% is managing the business, getting your products in ready for inventory, setting up a premise, managing the contract. And then I would say probably as little as 10% is the actual clinical skill that goes with it. Don't get me wrong, it's a vital part. If you're not good at it, useless.
Yeah.
But the ratio, it is literally that stark.
Yeah,
It really is.
and you just wonder that, I just look at my, I'm thinking about, business minded, like, it's just so business minded. Like, I probably wouldn't be able to, I think I'm more of a clinical person. I think if I would probably be able to learn the business side of things, and that's fine, but it just, it's not a natural thing. Like, so for some people like yourself, it's very natural and it comes across as well. And I think that is really amazing. And what do you see? You mentioned the 1 year thing. What have you got planned in the next year for yourself? If you don't mind sharing.
I ask that question to myself every day. I don't know. Honestly, no. Honestly, it really depends. Unfortunately, I'm hoping things improve for us in general practice, and that people see the value in general practice and people see what they have to lose, because at this moment in time they're losing general practitioners left, right, and center, and they do not know what's about to hit them. Because it'll be too late when it hits their face that, these people have been working so hard behind the door, and yet all we have to give them is abuse. That is unacceptable behavior. I'm not sure how long I'll be able to put up with that behavior.
No, absolutely.
So I'm contemplating that very carefully at this moment in time, as to whether I should really, because to be honest, we're worth more. We're worth a ton. We're the creme de la creme.
I know, yeah.
Why is that here? I don't understand. We are doing this out of the kindness of our hearts because we care.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the thing they get us on. They get us on the fact that we care. That is unacceptable, because not everyone is going to sit there and care for long if all they get is abuse.
Absolutely. I think especially since the pandemic is now sort of, I'm seeing all my patients face to face. There's a lot more demand. The 10-minute appointments are really pushing it, everyone's coming in, and we were told this is why we're doing this YGP series, because a lot of people are not thinking they don't want to stay in general practice, or they don't want to go into general practice because they see what's going on in the media, their own experiences maybe, and that's why we're doing these series to show that as a GP you can do so much, and you can have lots of different roles in your life as well as being a GP and still have a very satisfying career. But you're right, unfortunately I feel that my patients are very nice, they're very grateful for the care and that we give them. But I suppose in different areas of the country, I saw on the news a GP surgery, there was an attack in Manchester on the reception staff, and that's really sad to hear, and you think that's not, no one deserves that. No one deserves abuse, whether you're working in the hospital or general practice, whichever setting really, or any profession, to be fair.
You're right. You're right there.
But we're doing a lot of work there's a lot of work that the NHS is doing for retaining general practice as well, to try to maintain general practice. Like the first 5 is quite important. So I'm chair of first 5 in Stoke, north of Stoke, and we try and do CPD events, keep everyone together. And it is very difficult because everyone's getting on with their lives, and forget it because of the pandemic. We haven't had any face-to-face. We've just recently had some face-to-face. It's been really nice to keep letting everyone know they're not alone and we're all in this together. And that's very important. What work you do as well with the West Midlands, I think is fantastic. Whether people come or not, they know that you're there as well. And what's your next plan? Is it Wednesday that you've got a RCGP conference?
I think it's this Thursday afternoon. We've got the Life After BTS conference, isn't it? For the newly qualified GPs. Yeah. Fantastic.
And that's going to be very valuable. And there's one in November as well.
Yes, we're going to be doing a first 5 Midlands conference from the college in November, hopefully. Yeah.
You have to let me know, because I'm sure the first 5 from here would love to be involved in that. And what do we need to do to be like, what do we need to do to be involved in this conference? Do we need to do anything or?
No, come out through the RCGP normal channels from the college emails and the WhatsApp groups that I normally post things in. I'm sure you'll hear of it some point. I'm sure it's was it Zara? Zara
Zerba.
will be able to. Yeah, Zeba will be able to
Yeah.
update you as well. So
Yeah.
she'll keep you updated. Yeah.
Fantastic. And do you have any sort of advice generally about people who want to either want to become GPs or in the beginning of their training? Any bits of other words of wisdom that you have?
Yeah, I think like I tell my friends, it's I work on the logic as take care of yourself first, take care of the people around you, and then the patients will come. Because if you're broken, you can't help anyone. If your team's broken, you're not going to have a pleasant time at work,
Yeah.
and you're not going to be able to help your patients effectively. And then you can help your patients, because if the first two is get your house in order, isn't it? Without that, you
Absolutely.
can't do anything. Yeah. And remember, you are priority. As noble and altruistic as you can be, you can only do those things if you're in a good place.
Absolutely. And they always say know your worth. So, for example, I have this analogy that a bottle of water, if you buy it from like a pound shop, it'll be a bottle of water. If that same water is in a restaurant, it's like £2.50. So the water is the same, but where you are you should be where you're valued at your best, you know. But yeah, congratulations on everything that you have achieved so far in your life, and I do wish you all the best going forward in your career. And I'm sure this is not the last time that we'll hear from you, and I'm sure that we'll meet in person one day,
Fingers crossed.
hopefully in
Yeah.
the conference or something. Yeah, but look after yourself, and thank you so much for doing this live today.
No, that's
And I
okay.
hope people well, I found it very useful, and I hope other people will find it very useful as well.
Thank you for the invite. Hopefully that was useful.
No, it was. It's very inspiring to hear what other people are doing and how they're achieving goals in their lives. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you,
Brilliant.
Thuva.
Thank
Oh,
you.
bye,
Cheers.
bye.
Bye bye.